Welcome to the City Current Show, powered by Hagen-Botham Insurance and Financial Services.
This show focuses on sharing good news and powering the good in our community. Now here's your host, Andrew Bartolotta.
Welcome to the City Current Show, where we bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making an impact in our community and around the globe. And today we're thrilled to have Angie Orth, a renowned travel expert, content creator, millennial travel TV host, and author of the memoir, Flirting with Disaster, True Travel Tales of Fear, Failure, and Faith. From angieaway.com to the Jet Sisters and her engaging podcasts, Angie has carved a unique path when it comes to the world of travel and content creation as well. So I'm looking forward to having her on our show to talk about her new book and everything that she is doing in the world of travel. Angie Orth, thank you for coming on the show.
Well, thank you. That was a fun introduction. I feel busy already.
You are, and it's so cool to follow you and then get to talk to you about really just how it started. So let's start there. What was the spark for your passion to travel, and what led you to turn that passion into a full-fledged career?
It was a lot of things, and it was many years. I think I kind of started getting into travel when I was younger. I'd go to dog shows with my grandparents, and we went to New York City a couple times, and it just, it got into my blood. And as kind of a small town girl, I thought for sure the world is better everywhere else, because my town is boring and everyone who lives here is boring and there's nothing to do. And, when you go out of town on a trip, all you do is have fun and see cool things and see new things and meet new people, and people have accents, and it's just all so exotic, right? So then you go home and you're like, everyone here is the worst. And so my general idea as a youngster, as a teenager, was I got to get out of here. And so that started out with where I moved to Atlanta after college. I moved to New York after that. And so it was just like baby steps out of the playpen. And then I worked in PR when I was in Atlanta and New York, worked at PR agencies, did a ton of travel PR. So that put me in such a good position to leave all that behind and travel around the world by myself for a year. After I'd been working, 7 or 8 years in PR. And then I decided I need a break, because New York City is crazy. And as much as I love my job, it's kind of killing me. So let's go take a break. Let's drink by the pool for a year and be really chill and get really relaxed and maybe meet somebody, maybe not, whatever. That's what people do when they travel around the world, right? And then, 10, 12 years later, here I am still traveling and creating content, and wrote a book about it. So that's sort of the gist.
Well, I love that you've made a career in what you love to do and what your passion is, because so many of us may be in a state where we feel like that has to be separated, but there's a finite time that we're here on Earth. And so, like, YOLO, let's have as much fun as we can while we're here. And you turn that into a business. And so you created angieaway.com, and it's evolved from your year-long trip to really this full-blown travel advice, blog, partnership with as an influencer. Talk a little bit about that before we dive into your book, on how you've been able to monetize the opportunities to travel to not only help other businesses, but then help your brand as well.
Yeah, I will say everything has changed since I started. I got into this whole world as a baby publicist in New York City, working on travel accounts. And as I was doing that traditional PR, that's sort of when Twitter and Facebook were coming online as things maybe destinations could use. So I was tasked with figuring that out and training my clients on what it meant to have a business Facebook page. Like, that's how basic it was. That's where we were kind of when I got started. And nobody was making money. No bloggers even really existed. There were some folks who had blogs, but it was, hey world, here's what I did today, Carrie Bradshaw. Like, it was that whole thing. It wasn't helpful. And that's really where we've evolved to now, where if you have a website, it cannot just be your journal. If you want to monetize it, it has to be helping your readers and figuring out what it is they need to know to have a safe trip, or to budget well on their next trip, or pick a destination that's going to make the whole family happy, whatever it is. That's kind of where we've gone from back in the day, which was a crazy thing happened to me in New York City. And that is what my first blog was. That's what I started it for, to keep all my freaking out relatives at home, not freaking out as much, because it was like my proof of life. Every day I'm like, yeah, a crazy thing happened, a crazy thing happened. And then over the years, it's just evolved, and I've evolved as all of that has. And when I left my job and went out on my own, it was literally never going to be a career. That wasn't a possibility. It wasn't on my radar. It was like, I'm going to travel for a year, and then I'm going to come home and go back to work like a normal person, because this is crazy. Quitting your job is a terrible idea. And why would you ever do that? And you have no loyalty. And that was the vibe when I did it. Now, everybody I know quit their job to travel the world. Everybody I know. This is a very common thing that happens now. And I love that, because I don't think that we're all meant to work the way America has us working. Like, hard work, yes. Work ethic, yes. Hating your job, hating the people you work with, never seeing daylight. Like, that is not it. That cannot be what life is about. So, yeah, I think so much has changed since then, from the monetization, from the fact that you can have a content creation business, the fact that there are influencers now, and the fact that you can go to college to be an influencer. What is that? That fully does my head in, because we didn't cover any of that in journalism school, obviously, because it just didn't exist. So we've all been learning the PR side, the marketing side. All of us are figuring it out, and it changes so much. So it really is one of those things. And I think being a solo traveler has helped a lot in just being ready to roll with the punches, because you don't know what's coming in this career, in this industry, or when you travel. You have no idea what your day is going to be like.
Yeah, and you really are just stepping outside your comfort zone and saying, okay, life, what are you going to bring me today? And I love that you're not afraid to just do it. That's so cool. And so not only are you able to be an influencer and help brands and help others travel economically to places that are safe as a solo traveler as well, and provide your feedback and expertise. But then what inspired you to share these personal stories that you have with the world in your new book, Flirting with Disaster?
That's a very good question. And now that it's out, like now that I have a copy of it and I can see it all in print, I'm like, what have I done? What have I done? This is very personal. This is very vulnerable. And it's all so much different than what I ever put on my blog. Because even back in the diary days, it wasn't super vulnerable. It was more funny, more like, hey guys, I saw a giraffe. It was cool. Like, it was not the super vulnerable stuff that was going on. So this book is really my opportunity to pull back the curtain. Everybody who's been with me all that time, this will be new. Like, they might recognize some of the places and some of the stories, but so much of this is new. And it's also a lot about my life and growing up in Jacksonville and my family, and just what it was like to kind of grow up in this really weird space that I grew up in. So yeah, I wanted to share that mostly with women and girls like me who maybe grew up in a small town and didn't know what else was out there, and knows that maybe they're not meant to do what everybody else thinks they're supposed to do. So that's not to say you have to do anything crazy. At this point, I don't think what I've done is actually very crazy anymore, because like I said, so many people do it. The gig economy is great. Working from home, lots of people do it now. And we have Zoom and we have tools, and all the things that used to seem so insane are now like, well, obviously, this makes so much more sense for our workforce. This makes more sense for the millennial generation and how we're wired and those who come after us. It's not a lack of work ethic most of the time. It really is just a difference in how we see time and work-life balance. And I've worked for so many people who don't really believe in work-life balance. And it's really good to now be so far on the other side of that and be able to look at younger folks and say, no, that is not how it should be at a job. Like, I can speak into your situation and say they're being abusive with your time, with your, they're taking advantage of you. And I didn't have that for myself. I was like, work until you die because you need health insurance. And I was so scared of not having health insurance and benefits that, really taking that step and quitting was huge. It was terrifying. Like now I'm like, of course I did it. But I was really scared. It was a very scary step, and obviously glad I did it, and everything does work out. But there is that terror when you walk out your door and say, okay, what are we doing? Like, what has life got for me? And hope that things come to you, because you can only hustle so much, and especially now, would I recommend somebody quit their job to be a travel influencer? No way. No way. We got to figure out what is the next thing for those people to do, because it can't be travel influencing. There's so many people trying to do it. The algorithms are always changing. It's not what it used to be. When I started, which was to tell stories. And that's probably my favorite thing about the book is it's not SEO. It's just a story. It's a good story, and it's got ups and downs, and it has a plot, and it has pacing. It's none of this like keywords, which I love. I love that I had the freedom to actually write a book, because that's the storytelling that I'm into.
It's cool to see the evolution and the flow from where you started in PR and how you're still able to tell those stories now with the book. And you've been featured on major platforms like Lonely Planet and the Today Show. So and you're helping others navigate from their blog and to reaching the next step to becoming travel influencers and influencers in general. So how do you go from writing your blog, being an established influencer, and what's really cool now these days is that you don't have to have hundreds of thousands of followers. You can be a micro influencer and still make an incredible impact with smaller brands as well. So what advice would you give to those that are seeking the same lifestyle that you have and the same opportunities, and how you were able to connect with some of these major outlets and brands?
To be honest, a lot of it is right place, right time. I was on the front of the wave, and I also had incredible connections from my PR work. So I already knew what brands wanted because I had been the brand. So I had this really great knowledge of how to send a pitch letter or how to make a media kit. That stuff was just easy. I got to do all that stuff. But the harder part is knowing what kind of person you really are. What do you want to promote? Because at least in the beginning, anytime anyone sent us anything for free, we were like, yay, free thing. And that is not that exciting when you don't get paid, because you like you've heard, I'm sure, you can't pay your mortgage with suntan lotion or a hat or sunscreen or sunglasses. You can't. So like how do you know what you want? What is a good yes? What is a good no? And how do you get there? Because you can always say, oh, but if I work with this brand and they give me free stuff, then maybe more people will follow me. Probably not. Probably not. In this day and age, there's too many people. Everybody and their grandmother literally is on Instagram, Threads, Twitter, everywhere. So it's just not, it doesn't work the way it used to. So you really have to know who you are, what you want to promote, what you feel comfortable with. There are some things, you could give me all the free, like fashion in the world. What am I going to do with that? I like clothes. I like wearing clothes, but I don't like taking photos of me in clothes and selling them to people. That's not my vibe. So if that is yours, then great. There is a great niche for fashion folks, and they can make a ton of money. If what you really want to do is teach people how to travel, then starting at the bottom, you got to go travel, and you have to do that before you ever get any money or ever think about having any money. And that can be a very expensive niche to be in, because you can't just wake up one day and say, I've never been anywhere, but I want money and I want to stay in hotels for free. It doesn't work that way. You really have to establish yourself. So a lot of people come from traditional journalism, say they don't want to do traditional journalism anymore. They got laid off, their publication folded. So they'll come over and take all these clips and all their professionalism and their background, and then maybe they'll get to create a website and use that It's really hard to start and travel without a background or without a lot of money to self-finance for a year or two while you get enough content to prove that you can actually make helpful content. I think so many folks, and this is really the fault of folks who sell courses that are like, I did it and you can too. You can
Yes.
make 7 figures traveling the world and doing nothing. No, you can't. No, you can't, because that is not what travel influencers actually do. You might go viral, but I doubt it's going to be for your instructional video on how to pack. You know
Right.
what I mean? It's going
Right.
to be for
Exactly.
something very different. So helpful content is not necessarily viral content. And viral content is maybe what makes you all the money, and comedy and skits and dancing. Like, we're just in an interesting time of being influencers. And like I said, it's always changing. By the time you figure out who you are and what you want to do, it'll be different and you have to start over. And that's for all of us. You
Yeah.
know, I've been
Just
evolving.
change.
Yes,
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
evolving this whole time, and none of it makes any sense. I can't believe I am where I am based on kind of where I started. I actually got to where I wanted to be with a book, writing the stories I want, and doing the things I really want to do. But it took a long time, and I messed up a lot because I didn't know, especially back in the early days, pre monetization. I just didn't know that sometimes you need to say no to stuff and not give yourself a bunch of stupid work just so you can be working. It's not worth it. 2-night hotel stays? No. Back in the day, I would love that. I would do a week's worth of work afterwards for 2 free nights in a hotel. Now I'm like, no. If it ain't a whole campaign, I'm not leaving my house.
Yeah.
And
And
that
even,
might sound ridiculous, but once you've done it for a long time, you just have to know how much your time is worth.
yes, exactly. That's what I was going to say is when you break it down per hour and you go, I could have worked at any minimum wage
Yes.
job, earn more money than doing that.
Yes.
It's same because for those that are not content creators or influencers, they think that that's the easy way out. But it is not. And you're constantly sort of owning your own variety show where you're trying to just juggle literally or lip sync or do skits to
Yes.
multiple different things just so you can reach a new audience or a broader audience. Anytime my content has gone viral, like millions of views, it's been content that I've literally either almost didn't put up because I thought it wasn't worthy, or it is something that is completely random and not really part of my traditional brand that you spend years creating. And
Same.
so it's so strange sometimes how the algorithms work that way.
That's been my exact experience. The things I work the hardest on and I'm really proud of, nobody sees. And the things that I just chuck up there out of frustration, everyone's like, that's hilarious. I'm like, that took me 5 minutes. And the other thing took me 5 weeks. But okay, I guess 5 weeks and 30 years of experience, but whatever.
Yeah.
So it really is something that I hope the next generation goes into with their eyes open, because it is not what the courses sell you. That's to sell courses. Those folks are making 6 and 7 figures on courses, not on sitting by the pool and drinking tropical umbrella drinks and getting paid for it. That is not where the money's at. So
what are some of the hottest travel destinations that you think people should go to and why? And I'm going to give you 3 categories because I know that and I'm coming up with them as we talk because I know this will help sort of craft that. So say 1 for couples, 1 for a solo traveler, and then 1 for a family.
okay. Let's see.
No
Couple,
pressure.
I know, no pressure at all. Couples, I think I'll say Tahiti because that's where I am dying to go. And it's been on my bucket list. And I kind of waited till I got married because I wanted to go, have a romantic overwater bungalow situation. So we're hoping to go to Tahiti sometime this year. And to do that, I think in the best way is on a cruise. And there's a couple of brands that do that really well. Windstar just put a ship there full time, like year round, full time. So you can go anytime and just see the beauty of Tahiti. And so I'm saying that because that's where I'm trying to go. And then what did you say? Families?
Families and then just the solo traveler.
Okay, I think families, this is going to be stupid if I say a cruise again, because I'm not like a giant cruise proponent, but
Yeah.
Royal Caribbean just came out with their ginormous ship, Icon of the Seas. And I've had a ton of friends go on it and it looks amazing. Like, I think if you have kids, that is going to be just incredible. And I feel that way about most sort of family friendly cruises because the kids can do their thing, the parents can do their thing. It's really good for like multi-generational travel. You can bring everybody. And for us, we drop grandma off in the casino and we go do adventure things. Mom and dad kind of putter around and they play bingo and everybody's happy.
Mhm.
And I love a destination like that. Now you got to be a certain kind of person to go on a cruise. So take that into account. There's plenty of other family friendly destinations that don't involve cruising, but I'm excited to go on the Icon and check it out because it is enormous. And I just cannot imagine a ship holding that many people and not feeling crowded, which is what I keep hearing is that it's not overcrowded. So how is that possible? I need to see for myself. And then for solo travel. So I keep hearing that solo travel is like the thing, the big trend for 2024. And I'm like, yeah, I did that so long ago. I've been solo traveling forever. But what folks are saying is it's really like women, maybe 50 plus, who are piecing out without their family, without their husbands. And they're like, y'all don't want to go? I'm going and doing my thing. I'm going to go be me. I'm going to go do a trip. So I would say if I was recommending someone solo travel, maybe for the first time, go on a group trip. You're still solo traveling. You're not like in charge of every decision. You actually get somebody to help you out with that, but you are on your own and you are enjoying and you meet new people, but you can also have your space depending on the kind of trip that you pick. So that's a good way to do it first. And then, I say start in countries where you speak the language and just work your way out. Go to London, go to the Caribbean, just go somewhere you speak the language, go to Australia, and then work your way up to the next one. And then, you get more comfortable the more trips you take. And next thing you know, you're going to be in Nepal, just hiking and sleeping in a yurt, and it'll be no big deal. Trust me, it happens. It happens to all of us. I used to be scared of everything. I mean, I'm still scared of some things, but it is surprising to me looking back on my life, rereading my book. I'm like, man, that was nuts. I can't believe I did that. So it happens, and it can happen to anybody, no matter where you're from or your upbringing, anybody can travel. And I hope that people hear that message that it's accessible. You just have to prioritize and make choices. And if it's what you want to do, you can do it.
Well said, because so many, my wife and I, before we had 3 children, we traveled a ton, and my wife was a travel nurse for a while too. And I think that was the strongest 6 months for her to get out of small town feel and be able to thrive not only in her profession, but also for herself. And any person that I've known that have solo traveled, the introspection that they get and the way that they are able to find and sort of like have that eat, pray, love experience for them is so important. So I think that, after, we are a football field away from the pandemic, thankfully, as 2024, but we also are still reaming the effects of it. And so for us now, prioritizing our mental health and the way that we see ourselves and stuff, I think that's why probably solo travel is like, for someone like you especially, it's like I've been doing it for years, but for the average person, they're going, okay, I can do this and it is accessible. And I can, go to angieaway.com and I can reach out to Angie. And I know that I have people and influencers in my corner that can provide me great expertise where I don't feel so overwhelmed with it.
Yes. I mean, there is nothing like going on a trip by yourself to build confidence. Like I can walk into any room and I'm like, yeah, what? There's no intimidation. Why would I be intimidated? I've gone to countries where I don't speak the language and I didn't have a map and I just figured it out. And showing yourself that you can do that you have that kind of strength and smarts and you can do it, like that sticks with you forever. That's more valuable than just about anything else I've done, is going out there and doing it and seeing it and surviving it. Barely, but I made it. I'm here, and it makes a difference into all the decisions I make now. And another thing, like you said, with the pandemic, I think travel in general is just, we talked about revenge travel a lot in the past 2 years, where people are just like booking everything because they're like, we can't miss our chance. We don't know what is coming next, right? It is an election year. All bets are off. We never know what's going to, I mean, the pandemic really threw me for a loop. And the whole thing I thought was, thank God I did not wait for retirement to have adventures, because I would be so devastated at that point, thinking we're never going anywhere ever again. Like, the borders are closed. It's never going to be the same. I was so grateful that I had done what I did young, and, and now I can, or I cannot. I don't have this pressing, urgent need to get out of town and like find myself, because I did that. And so now I'm just like, yeah, I'm chilling. I'm like, retirement is cool and travel is cool too. And I satisfied those wanderlust desires, and now I'm in such a good space of helping other people do that, helping women particularly just figure out how to get out of their comfort zone, whether that's before kids, before getting married, after, during, whatever it is, because we all need our time, and we all need our growth, and we all need our space. And I'm of the opinion that travel is the best way to do that.
I think so. Because not only are you working on yourself, you're also learning about others. And that has been one of our biggest benefits to travel, both domestically and internationally, is just the people that you meet and the lifestyles that you learn about. And you realize that, many Americans, I feel like, have a mindset of like, we live in this town and the town revolves around this, everything revolves around us because we're selfish.
Yes.
It's like, there's a huge world out there. And then, I mean, it's just like, it's crazy. And that's an entire other podcast. And speaking of other podcasts, you host other podcasts. So tell listeners where people can really learn more about you, and then lead us to where they can purchase your book.
Okay. Well, I have the blog, which is angieaway.com, and that's where you can find out all the stuff, all the places I've been, and the tips and tricks for going there. There's packing info, just a variety of info, 10 plus years of info. So that's a good place to go and start if you're looking for a destination. And then I'm on all the socials, so that's a good place to connect with me or find out where I am in real time, what I'm doing. And then weekly I host Traveling with AAA, which is AAA's big podcast. And we speak about different destinations. We interview different people every week. So that is really fun, because I'm getting to bring on all my travel friends and pick their brain about, their favorite destinations or their hot tips. So that's been a real treat, because that's a much better format, I think, podcasting than blogging sometimes, because we can get a lot more info out there and people can just listen to it when they commute. And I know a lot of people process better that way. So many people don't want to read at all. So there's that. And then my sister and I have a podcast called But Did You Die? And it sort of goes hand in hand with Flirting with Disaster. It's travel tips and tricks, but also like, here's a terrible thing that happened to us in Costa Rica, and here's how to prevent it from happening to you. So I think in the future, we'll probably start bringing guests on to tell their travel tales, but it's a really fun one. It's very lighthearted. And I love doing it. My sister and I have worked together for years and years. We have a show called The Jet Sisters, where we go do a luxury day and a more budget-friendly day. And, so you can go to any destination on any budget and pick where you splash out and whatever. So yeah, we have a lot going on. And I am findable anywhere on Angie Away or The Jet Sisters. Yeah, and you can get my book anywhere you buy books. So Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, Walmart, it's everywhere.
I love it. Well, Angie, I'm so glad that we've been able to get a glimpse into your world and get to know you some more. And we will, as we listen to your podcast and read your book. Thank you for helping us find a deeper understanding into the world of travel and discovery, and really embracing the unknown, and knowing that it's both accessible and it is affordable in many cases to all of us listening and watching. And so don't think that travel is something that is only for the elite or for those that are retired. Angie is proof that, and she has ways that she can tell you how you can do so in a way that can help you explore and dream.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been really fun.
Of course. Of course. Well, thank you for powering the good in our community and around the globe. And thanks for coming on the show.